Hello and welcome to Hank Games Without Hank. My name is John Green. Look who's on top of the league. It's Swindon Town here in League One. In If It Ain't Broke, Don't Fix It news, starting up front today, we have Leroy Williamson and Andy Rooney. I had to reward them for what was an excellent performance in the Johnstown Paint Trophy contest. And now we're playing Doncaster. We're going to win. Don't worry, everything is fine. I want to introduce you to a couple more Swoodilypoopers, new guys. Today we're going to talk about Varanari, we call him Bob. And we're also going to talk about, Mionel Richie. I'm sorry, I was trying to score there for a second. Then it made me sing like Mionel Richie. But I want to start by talking about Varanari. We just call him Bob. He's Swedish. He's a central attacking midfielder. He's from Sweden. He is not. He was actually playing in the Swedish First League, which I don't know if you know anything about Swedish football, but like you should Google it because those guys do not take soccer as a joke. Even when there's only 1,000 people in the fans, there's a lot of like flares and screaming and as you would expect, and oh boy, big time tackle. Everything is fine. Now, David Hume, noted philosopher, not a finisher. So he comes from like this football like mad culture where it's like Viking stuff, you know, just flares in the stands, and he speaks pretty good English, and we were talking about it, and his sort of main impression is the relative calmness of football down here in League One. I told him that that if we move up as I expect us to, that it'll get crazier. Don't worry. And also, to be fair, you know, Swindon fans, we know how to party, but we do not know how to party like Varanari. We call him Bob. Who is, he knows how to drink a pint, if you catch my drift. It also just like, you know, stays out late. He's a very, 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 very good-looking young man, to be frank with you. He is not difficult to look at, and a number of people have taken advantage of that and enjoyed looking at him, if you know what I'm talking about. So, so that's, you know, that's part of who he is, and I respect that. You know, as long as it's safe, sane, and consensual, I think it's great. The other thing about him, though, is that, like me, he's a big Swedish hip-hop fan. He's a big fan of Afasi och Filthy. In fact, he listens to their seminal album, Flocken, before every single game, which is one of my favorite albums. I listen to it myself when I'm preparing tape a lot of times with the guys, with my coaching staff. And he also is a big fan of Snook, and generally, like, you know, he comes from I mean, you think, like, there's sort of like two kinds of liberal in Sweden. There's like normal, regular liberal, and then there's like pirate party, all information wants to be free liberal. And we call him Bob is definitely from the pirate party, all information wants to be free liberal kind of school. Like, he is a hardcore, basically an anarchist, you know, like, just basically thinks people can take care of themselves, and you know, and we need minimal yeah. So he's, you know, strongly, outspokenly, you know, outspoken about gay rights, and that was one of the reasons that he was attractive to the team. But it's what an opportunity, and then it was just poor execution. No other word for it. You've got to. It's you know, I know that volley is hard. Maybe you should have brought it down, and we should have stayed calm and done something else with it. Anyway, everything's going to be fine. You guys are freaking out just because we're losing to we're not beating Doncaster / possibly Donchester, but everything's going to be fine. Anyway, pretty cool guy. And there's a certain person, you know, for a certain kind of person, and many people in Swindon, I think, like, he's like the coolest guy because he's got an accent. He's a little bit crazy. I actually had to talk to him last week because the day before a game, he was out near the county ground buying people drinks. He wasn't drinking himself, or at least so he says, but you can't be out at like 1 in the morning buying drinks while people sing songs about your name. But anyway, he's really taken to being called Bob. That's nice, because I don't know what else we would call him. Yeah. So, oh, that's a bad pass, Andy Rooney. Andy Rooney is not able to recreate the magic of yesterday. Oh, it's disappointing. It was just something else to see him score like that, and crotchety old Ginger just ripping it up. Go, Andy Rooney. Go, Andy Rooney. Disappointing. Disappointing. I went in there full force, and what happened? Is it halftime? No, it's halftime. All right. 0-0 at halftime. I think we're going to have to think about a change. Maybe bring on, say, the two greatest forwards in the history of Swindon Town Football Club. But I also want to talk to you about Mionel Richie, because he's a character I find really fascinating. He reminds me a lot of myself. Like, we call him Bob, and I have Swedish hip-hop in common, but Mionel Richie and I have a lot in common. We both grew up Episcopalian, but he grew up in, there's a lot of, that's the Anglican Church, the Church of England, like the official church of the country of England, founded when Henry VIII wanted to divorce his wife. So sometimes on Episcopal, I saw on an Episcopal church recently, I saw a funny sign that said, we're all about forgiveness because we were founded by a guy who was married 7 times. But yeah, anyway. He also killed a bunch of his wives. Great guy, founder of my church. But yeah, there's sort of more and less evangelical versions of, Leroy Williamson, digging the keeper. Oh, it was all for nothing. I don't know why he was trying to dink the keeper in that situation. He's crazy like that. He's always doing crazy things. But he grew up the son of a pastor, and he grew up in a much more sort of conservative part of the church than I did, certainly. In a real evangelical tradition where, part of his belief system is that only Christians can go to heaven and stuff, and that you have evangelical responsibilities to try to share the good news in order to increase the number of, saved people and everything. But he's a really fascinating character because it is not, you may have you probably, or at least I should say I had a set of expectations about what that meant, what being evangelical means. And to be honest with you, Mionel Richie doesn't line up with any of them. He's a very open-minded person. He's not confrontational. He's not a screamer. He's not a fighter. He doesn't. He's not in any way he doesn't think anything ill of Ball John Green or other John Green. In fact, he loves playing with them and talks about how they're the greatest thing that has happened to Swindon in decades. And I mean, just really, really likable, love. I mean, I can't think of any word for it other than loving. That's got to be a foul. You literally moved him 7,000 feet. Not literally. Did you see? Can we discuss what happened, though? That was clearly unfair. I think Andy Rooney's just tired. Oh, it's time. It's time. It's time for a little... Actually, maybe it's only time for one John Green. And maybe we bring out noted graffiti artist Shepard Fairey and we bring in Jerry Coke. All right. It's crisp and it's refreshing. It's Jerry Coke. Oh, no. Oh, no. Get back, yes! That's great defending. That's Archibald Henville, who Meredith has named Nate Archibald on account of her love of the television program Gossip Girl. Oh, come on, guys. You're better than this. You guys aren't communicating, and I'm disappointed. We got to make them... Yes! 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 Leroy Williamson! Oh, robot. Leroy Williamson scores occasionally. Leroy Williamson, he scores occasionally, also true in his personal life. He hates it when I make that joke. He told me that after he scored in the last game. And I was like, dude, it's a hilarious joke. And he was like, yeah, but it hurts my feelings. And I was like, why does it hurt your feelings? It's hilarious. And he was like, because it's true, man. And I was like, don't call me man. I'm your coach. Call me sir. So anyway, but about Mionel Richie. So aside from that, he's an English. He's another kid from the academy system. He actually is from a local kid from the Swindon area, not the town of Swindon itself, but from the area, and he's been with the club since he was 9 years old, and is a true Swoodilypooper. There's nothing about him that doesn't all the way love the Swoodilypoopers, which is like pretty much the number one thing I look for in a player, as you guys know. Like, I value, as a manager, I value loyalty above talent. Leroy Williamson to me is the ultimate example of that. Like, if you stick with someone and they stick with you and they stick with your program and they believe in you and they're the kind of player that makes the team stronger, then not even maybe physically, but just in terms of the way they think and their commitment to each other. And I feel that with Mionel Richie, like, he has just gelled with all these guys. I mean, he's the, you know, he's the kind of guy who learns a little bit of Swedish so that he can make, we call him Bob, feel comfortable. And I love that. I think that's just awesome. So, oh, by the way, I wanted to add that we call him Bob is reading Var R Alaska, also known as Looking for Alaska in Swedish. I thought that was so nice. I saw him in the locker room reading that. Anyway, big victory. Leroy Williamson. Another clean sheet for Green Eggs and Foderingham. Wesley Crusher Foderingham, the ensign of our team. Thanks for watching. Best wishes.